Hi, this is Brother Richard, and today we're continuing with our lesson series, Prototokos Mystery. This will be part 604. We're continuing with our lesson theme, Kingdom of the Heavens, which will be part 57. Scripture teaches, after his ascension back to the Father, he, the Lord, was told that the Father would make his enemies his footstool. Turn to Psalms 110, verse 1. The Lord said unto my Lord, Sit thou at my right hand until I make thine enemies thy footstool. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion, rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. So what we find here is principle. The Lord, the Father, is going to engineer the collapse of the Lord's enemies. And then he's going to send the Lord back to triumph in his next phase of his master plan. It's going to happen twice, as I see the scripture. What enemies is the Lord referring to? Is the Father really focused on? Well, it's not the human race. Although the human race is, the scripture tells us, even when we were enemies, Christ died for us. But he's not talking about the human race in this respect, because the human race is totally ignorant of even the Father's existence. Therefore, the human race just yields itself to be a vessel in the hands of the real enemies. The real enemies are those that have stood in opposition to the Lord consistently. Of course, we're talking about the Luciferians. We're talking about the principalities. Turn to Ephesians, the 6th chapter. Ephesians 6, verse 12. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. So the human race is not the enemy, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. The enemies of the Lord are those that knew the Lord, turned their back on the Lord, and have deliberately tried to destroy him and the things that he desires, the things that he's done. They want to wipe out his creation. They want to wipe out his memory. They want to wipe out everything that pertains to him. This is what's angering the Father, and this is going to be the target of what the Father's retribution will be. We see even now the leading into that. We're going to focus on this. Basically, the enemies can be described as the rulers, cosmocrators in the heavens. The Father is honing his plan to bring them down. Turn to Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, verse 11. Jeremiah 10, verse 11. Thus shall you say unto them, the gods that have not made, the word made there basically comes from a Hebrew term meaning to accomplish, to keep, to do. It's pronounced Bad, B-A-D. The gods that have not made the heavens and the earth, even they shall perish from the earth and from under these heavens. So they're going to be the focal point of the Father's retribution. There are going to be two occurrences in which wholesale destruction, wholesale elimination of the organization of the heavens is going to take place. And each time the Lord is going to be sent forth to perform the next phase of the Father's master plan.
Let me quickly jump in.
Sure.
I'm thinking about the Luciferians, to whatever degree, bowing down and begging forgiveness of Christ at the point that they are made his footstool.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
a pipe dream, right?
Yes. Yes, and
Yes, okay.
we're going to look at the two examples here. Scripture indicates, how's this going to happen? The Father will set them into pursuing activities that are going to lead to their downfall. It will ultimately drain them of their power. Turn to Zephaniah, 2nd chapter, verse 11. The Lord will be terrible unto them, for he will famish all the gods of the earth, and men shall worship him, every one from his place, even all the isles of the heathen. So he's going to basically, the word there, famish, means to waste away. Raza in the Hebrew. So he's going to set them on courses that they will pursue vigorously, thinking they're going to accomplish something, but the end of it is going to be they're going to be left high and dry, drained of their power, and under judgment.
Are the isles of the heathen here referring to the princes in the hidden sea?
Let's talk about the, yes, basically the Luciferians.
Right, not just princes, but all the Luciferians. Okay.
Yes. Which brings us to the next principle. Scripture indicates their fall will involve their pursuits of activities with events taking place on earth in their relationships with those of the human race on earth. In other words, they're going to be drawn to the earth, attracted, made to believe that there's going to be something beneficial, and they're pursuing what's being placed before them. And that thing is going to draw them to their destruction. That's why he says the gods, all the gods are going to wind up in judgment on the earth under the heavens. So they're going to be taken from their high positions down to the lowest point. What they wind up in, remember we said God's the reality personified. They're going to experience something they've never experienced before. And we have experienced it only temporarily. They're going to experience linear existence in its fullness.
In that drawing, is that a type of, I'm using the term strong delusion, I don't mean it's strong delusion, but is that a type to make them
Yes.
believe a lie, in other words?
Yes. Turn to Isaiah 26, verse 5. For he bringeth down them that dwell on high. The lofty city, he layeth it low. He layeth it low, even to the ground. He bringeth it even to the dust. So, they're going to be brought to a point where they're going to do things they never thought they would do before. They're going to be attracted to the earth. They're going to be attracted, lured into activities, pursuits that they think are going to benefit them, but it's actually going to drain them. And then they're going to experience being caught up into situations that trap them. They can't exit, they can't get out, and that ultimately becomes their prison. Psalms 82, verse 6 to 7. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men. Word men, there is Adam. So you can see the contrast here. You're exalted beings, creations, eternal creations from Elohim. But I say unto you, you're going to die like the Adamic race dies, and fall like one of the princes. To a being like this, dying means being drained of life. Same thing that happens to the Adamic race on a much lower scale. Their power, their ability to function, which is their life, something they've never experienced. Even in the fall of Lucifer, they've never really experienced, with the exception of some, total linear existence, imprisonment, confinement, to the point where they have no ability to locomote whatsoever. That's what they're all going to experience. Now, we're going to take a look at the two. We said it's going to happen 2 times. The first time, turn to Luke 21, 25 to 27. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth, the stress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers, dunamis, principalities, rulers of heaven shall be shaken. This is the Father bringing them to ultimate destruction, casting them down from their lofty places to the limited access of linear existence on the earth. When that happens, the Lord is going to be dispatched to pursue that phase of the Father's master plan. Notice what it goes on to say. Verse 27, and then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Turn to Psalms 50. One to 6. The mighty God, even the Lord, hath spoken, and hath called the earth from the rising of the sun unto the going down thereof. Out of Zion the perfection of beauty God hath shined. Our God shall come, and shall not keep silence. A fire shall devour before him, and it shall be very tempestuous round about him. He shall call to the heavens from above, and to the earth, that he may judge his people. Gather my saints together unto me, those that have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And the heavens shall declare his righteousness, for God is judge himself. So what you're looking at is a takeoff from Luke 21:27. The skies rend apart, the principalities, dominions, thrones, the cosmocrators are brought down and judged, bereft of their power. The Lord then descends to gather the Prototokos teachers, reward them, and establish the communities on the earth. That's the next phase of the Father's master plan. That's second stringers eliminated from the equation. Fourth Empire released. They do their same thing. The Father judges them. Turn to Matthew 24. Starting in verse 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. That's the Fourth Empire.
Okay. Revelation 12.
Yes. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven. Then shall the tribes of the earth mourn. They shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Second coming. The last coming. Luke 21:27. Psalms 50 is the coming to gather the saints. Matthew 24:29 to 30 is the last coming to set up the kingdom. Both times the individuals in the heavens are going to bear the brunt of the judgment.
Isn't it true, though, that by the last coming, the intensity and the spread of the shaking will be far more intense than the first time at the gathering?
Sure. Because you got the first stringers there.
are you saying it has to be more intense because they are a higher level of
Sure.
angelic? Okay.
The guys you got here are the second stringers.
But
They were in the heavens when the first stringers fell.
Okay.
They got corrupted. They fall. The first group replaces them. They're far more powerful than these guys, the principalities in the heavens.
Is the implication that the Father added this into his thinking, his consideration for his master plan as to when to take them out?
When he conceived everything at the foundation of the earth, all this came into being. It's just revealed later on. The revelation takes place in stages.
Sure.
Now what we find, he said, sit at my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. Happens 2 times. Each time he goes forth, the opposition is no longer there. He is doing what the Father has desired to do concerning the Prototokos sons. Now the judgment, turn to Jeremiah 25. We see something interesting there. Verse 30. Therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, the Lord shall roar from on high, utter his voice from his holy habitation. He's seated on the throne next to the Father. He does not get up off the throne to perform anything. He speaks. Why? Because it's not his time. His enemies have not been put down. His judgment is against the human race, not the Luciferians. He roars against his habitation. Who dies from one end of the earth to the other? Humans. Who does the net fall on? Humans. Humans. Those that participated in the apostasy. Those that knew the truth and took the knowledge and benefited it themselves at the twisting, distortion of his truth. This is a judgment on the humans. After this takes place, the Luciferians are still there.
Is there some significance in him not getting up off his throne?
Sure.
Which is?
Because the Luciferians haven't been taken down. The Father says, sit at my right hand till I make thy enemies thy footstool. Happens twice. The first time, Luke 21:27, the powers of heaven fall. He comes down in his glory. Second time, the powers of heaven fall. He comes down, sets up his kingdom. The enemies have been taken down.
Well, I was just alluding to the fact that he doesn't actually have to get up his throne at all if he doesn't want to.
But the Father's instructing him here.
Okay.
Says, sit at my right hand. The Father isn't just speaking to be speaking.
Sure.
The Father has a plan that involves the ones that the Father designates as the Son's enemies.
So we should understand that because they're fallen and therefore they can't be into the primary creation, the Father wants them, the fallen, to see him, the Lord, at the point of their judgment.
He wants to totally destroy them before the Son is going to enter into the glories. He wants the enemies to see what it takes when you disrespect my Son, when you denigrate my Son. Remember, the Father's looked at all the things that have happened prior to this, how they engineered his crucifixion,
Right.
how they have corrupted the human race, how Lucifer and his cohorts have just run roughshod
Right.
over the creation, corrupted all the nations and everything. The Father doesn't forget any of that.
No. I would have added.
They
his
are
worship.
going to be made to pay, and pay heavily.
Yes. Yes.
Turn to Psalms, first chapter. Excuse me, Psalms, the second chapter, starting in verse 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, these are Luciferians. This is the fourth empire. They're taking up residence in the heavens and on the earth. This guy is shaking his fist at the Father. They're denigrating the Son. They have taken over the human race and totally disrupted it. The Father's watching all this, and he's sending forth retribution. Notice what it goes on to say. They say, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. In other words, we're going to break their hold on us. We're going to set ourselves free. They're in a state of delusion.
Sure. Paranoia.
He that sitteth in the heavens, so my the Father, shall laugh. The Lord shall have them in derision. In other words, he's going to make them see what little paramecium they are before they get thrown into the final resting place.
Is that word has disrespect built in, doesn't it? Paramecium.
Paramecium is a one cell.
I know. This is interesting how you use it.
Yeah, that's what they're going to be made to see.
Yeah.
Verse 5, then shall he speak unto them in his wrath, and vex them in his sore displeasure. Yet have I set my king upon my holy hill and Zion. Then he sends the Lord back, set up the kingdom after he takes them down. Turn to Isaiah 14th chapter. Starting in verse 6, this takes place after the dust settles over the demise of the beast, Lucifer, and all the fourth empire. He who smote the people in wrath with a continued stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted, and none hindereth, though the tables are all turned. You're looking at a picture here now.
Excuse me, what did you start with?
Verse 6,
Okay.
Isaiah 14. You're looking at a picture here. Ever seen those before and after pictures? This is giving us the after picture of these guys that strutted their stuff, beat their chest, wanted everybody to see how great they were, how glorious they were, who they were. This is them after the dust settles and the Father's done with them. Verse 7, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They, the creation, break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon. In other words, the earth that has been under captivity now sees them in their misery. Cedars of Lebanon, Lucifer. They're in prison. They're in captivity. The earth is rejoicing over them. saying, since thou art laid down, no feller has come up against us. In other words, he's saying, since you've been put down, no tyrant has come up to cause us, to afflict us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee. In other words, the Father is going to showcase the whole torment region for the entire creation. They're going to see what's going on here with these characters as an object lesson. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, Lucifer, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. The individuals that we read about in Jeremiah, Zephaniah, that the Lord said, I'm going to famish you guys. I'm going to take you down. You're going to lose your glory, your life, your power, and you're going to wind up in the basest of states of existence, in a state of entire, total, unmitigated weakness. Verse 10. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou become weak, weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? These are the guys that saw for millions of years Lucifer's grandiose power, beauty, all the rest of it. They never dreamed what's happening to him could happen to him. They could see themselves being wiped out before they could see him being wiped out. So what's being said here is they're talking to him in unbelief. They're saying, are you Lucifer? He's almost unrecognizable. That's what it goes on to say. Verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols, that is the music that he once manifested, the beautiful notes, the harmonious sounds that he was able to allure through, are totally, it's a cacophony of, if you could hear it, you would react in a way in which you try to get away from it, rather than be drawn to it. The pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. This is an individual, he's flopped down to the bottom of the basis torment region. And there he's covered with maggots, that what they do is they drain the life force out of you. He's laying on them, and they're covering him. And these people are, these Luciferians are scratching their head trying to figure out, are you sure that's him? That can't be him. Notice what it goes on to say. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Thou said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also in the mount of the congregation of the sides of the north. So it gives this game plan, what he purposed that he thought he was going to do. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds, I will be like the Most High. So he was going to construct his own fiefdom in which he would rule it the way God rules the creation, basically is what he's saying. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee, and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms? They're spending half their time trying to figure out if this is really Lucifer. He is going to look totally opposite to what they recognized him as in all the ages past. They're gonna scratch their heads, and they're gonna peep and concentrate and try to come to a common agreement. You sure that that's him? Hey, it don't look like it. Yeah, it's him. It's him. He's weak as we are. How did that happen? Notice what it goes on to say. Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? Are you sure this is the same guy? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, one in his own house. Now, this is saying that they're basically imprisoned. And according to their own testimony, they've been drained of every ounce of energy they have. They're like jello, lying in a glob of pool of moisture, trying their best to continue the minimum strength that they can. They got stuff drained in them also, just like he does. But his condition is light years worse than theirs. Verse 19, but thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, and as the remnant of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. So what he's saying here is that he's drained of every ounce of energy. He's just lying there. Probably didn't even get the strength to answer him. Fighting feebly just to maintain his existence. The worms draining every life out, iota out of him. What happens? He's an eternal being. So his life is generated mechanically. It just comes.
Are you saying like every day?
Every
second,
every second his life is being brought forth. But every second the worms are draining it as it comes forth.
So eternal draining is what we're understanding.
What he's experiencing.
You implied that he's unable to speak.
Yes, the impression you get, yeah. All attributes that he ever had are going to be taken away from him. He had the ability to be a person that could seduce you. He seduced Eve by the things that he said. It's going to be taken away from him. He is going to be brought down to a point of total reversal. His looks are gone. You can't even recognize him. His power is gone. His authority gone. He didn't even have a palatial estate. At least the others have a place that a headquarters that they operate from. He doesn't have that. He's like a homeless person in the midst of individuals that are living in mansions. Destitute. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. So what's being said here, the Father, is a special end for him. He's going to suffer unlike any created being has ever suffered, with the possible exception of the beast. The beast is going to be right there also suffering in a way in which no human, the worst human, cannot be in a place where these guys are. No. He would cease to exist. And so what you find here, the Father's talking to the Son and telling to the Son, sit my right hand till I make thine enemies thy footstool. It's going to happen in two phases. Each time it happens, you're going to get a new reality started. An old one is going to end. When the time of the gathering takes place, this reality is going to be totally destroyed. Everybody that's worth saving is going to be in the alternate reality. Luciferians are going to be brought down in this reality and done away with. Fourth Empire is going to take over the alternate reality and come to their end at the end of the age. So the Father has all the phases of his master plan all lined up, and at the time, the season when they are to be instituted, they're going to go into effect automatically. That's why the Father laughs at all this stuff. Well, what you're looking at here are these guys trying to gather everything together in Armageddon so they can present a formidable defense against the Lord's armies returning to earth. The Father laughs at that. Is that the best you can do? This is what you see.
Our King James Bible instructs us to go beyond the salvation message, beyond the milk we are hearing in our churches, and to learn the doctrine of the kingdom of the heavens. From the time of John the Baptist's imprisonment, Jesus began to proclaim the kingdom of the heavens, and he taught the Apostle Paul for 3 years to prepare us for these end times. Visit our website to learn more about the true history of the creation, the meaning of our Father's master plan and the book of Revelation, the necessity for buying extra oil, Matthew 25 verse 9, what it means to become a mature Christian, the judgment, the beginning of sorrows, the gathering, the rapture, the tribulation, the last coming, and the millennium, what all these events really mean, your eternal position, sonship, and experiences in the Father's kingdom. Learn all these at prototokos.church.